So, how does one guy build a $2 trillion empire? Not from some fancy corner office, that's for sure, but from the passenger seat of an old Chevy Blazer, typing out a business plan while his wife drives them across the country. This is the story of a vision so big, it literally reshaped our world. Okay, so it all started with this one single number. Imagine it's 1994. A report lands on the desk of a 30-year-old Wall Street vice president. It says the internet is growing at 2,300% a year. I mean, that's not a trend, that's a tidal wave. And that's really the question at the center of this whole thing, isn't it? When you're staring at an opportunity that could change everything, what are you willing to give up? For Jeff Bezos, the answer was, well, pretty much everything. You see, before he saw that number, Bezos was living what you might call the ordinary world, at least for him. He was a brilliant guy on Wall Street, totally successful by every traditional standard, but he was also deeply restless. I mean, his ambition was planted early on. Born to a teenage mom, adopted by a Cuban immigrant who became his dad, he graduates high school valedictorian, already talking about building hotels in space. By age 30, he'd climbed the ladder to senior VP at a major hedge fund. On paper, he had already made it. He had the great job, the brilliant wife, the comfortable life. But that 2,300% figure, it was like a gravitational force. It just kept pulling at him, showing him a glimpse of a completely different future, one built not on Wall Street, but on a new digital frontier. So he actually walks into his boss's office and lays out his crazy plan. He's gonna quit his high-paying job to go sell books on the internet. And his boss gives him this perfectly logical, totally sensible advice. It was basically a warning. Don't throw away a sure thing for a wild gamble. But let's be real, logical advice rarely fuels a revolution. Bezos heard the warning. He understood the risk, but he decided the biggest risk of all was not trying. The biggest risk was regret. And this is the moment. He and his wife, Mackenzie, they quit their jobs, packed up their entire lives, and just pointed their car west from New York City all the way to Seattle. This was a literal and a metaphorical journey into the complete unknown. And you have to understand just how scrappy this whole thing was. Mackenzie was driving while Jeff was in the passenger seat, typing out the business plan for what would become Amazon. He didn't have big-time venture capital. He had $10,000 from his parents, which they later admitted was a huge chunk of their retirement savings. This was an all-in bet for the whole family. And this right here shows you his vision from day one. He chose the name Amazon, like the biggest river in the world, because he wasn't just building a bookstore, he was building the everything store. Books were just the perfect first product. Millions of titles, easy to ship. They were the entry point. So the company launches, and it grows at a blistering pace. In the early days, they had a bell in the office they'd ring for every single sale, until the bell just never stopped ringing. Amazon quickly became the poster child of the dot-com boom. But a huge test was right around the corner. You know, even after they went public in 1997, people were so skeptical. The company was just burning through cash to get big fast, and analysts couldn't see how they'd ever turn a profit. They famously predicted the company was toast. And then, in March of 2000, the bubble burst. All that tech-fueled optimism of the 90s just evaporated overnight. Amazon stock plummeted from over $100 a share all the way down to $6. Headlines screamed Amazon bomb, and it looked like bankruptcy was a real possibility. Most of Amazon's competitors, Pets.com, eToys, they just vanished. But while they were disappearing, Bezos went cold and surgical. He slashed costs, laid off staff, and focused on one thing and one thing only: survival. This moment didn't kill the company, it forged it into something unbreakable. The Amazon that came out of that wreckage was different. It was leaner, more disciplined, and relentlessly focused on building systems that could withstand any storm. It wasn't a startup anymore. It was becoming a machine. And then came the moves that would change everything. The kill shots. First Prime in 2005. Competitors thought free 2-day shipping was financial suicide, but Bezos knew it was a psychological hook to engineer loyalty. Then, AWS in 2006, which started as just an internal tool and became the actual backbone of the modern internet. And in 2007, the Kindle, which didn't just sell books, it changed what a book even was. And this one quote became his mantra.
It wasn't just a clever line, it was a declaration of war on inefficiency. Any industry out there with comfortable profit margins was now a target for Amazon's ruthless optimization.
Inside the company, this philosophy drove absolutely everything. He banned PowerPoint presentations. Instead, you had to write these 6-page narrative memos that required deep thought. Why? Because Bezos believed that good intentions are useless. What works are mechanisms, cold, logical systems that produce results time and time again.
By the late 2010s, Bezos himself had transformed too. He was no longer just a tech CEO. He was a global figure, often called the final boss of capitalism. And with that kind of immense power came immense scrutiny. Then, in 2021, he did something shocking. He stepped down as CEO. There was no crisis, no scandal. The architect simply decided his machine was complete, and he was ready for his next project.
So where'd he go? He went back to his first love, back to that high school graduation speech. He pivoted fully to his rocket company, Blue Origin, with a vision way bigger than just space tourism. He started talking about moving entire industries into orbit to preserve our planet.
And this is the most powerful takeaway of all. For 30 years, the world watched him build the everything store, and we all just assumed that was his life's work. But we were wrong. Amazon, the $2 trillion empire, was never the final destination. It was the engine he built to fund his real dream. So it really forces us to ask ourselves a pretty big question. What is our ultimate goal? The job, the company, the project we're pouring our hearts into right now? Is it the dream itself, or is it the launch pad that's going to get us to where we truly want to go?